Today, we're stepping into a brand new role together. You and I are going to become validators for the Ethereum network. I want you to think of this as our official onboarding to literally one of the largest decentralized networks on the planet. We aren't commuting to a physical office, right? We're plugging into a global system. So let's figure out exactly what this new job actually entails.
Here is our quick orientation schedule for today. First, we'll cover the big green switch, then applying for the job, taking a look at your software tool belt, a day in the life, navigating the rules, rewards, and penalties, and finally, a sustainable future.
Okay, Section 1, the big green switch, or swapping the engine mid-flight.
To really grasp this new gig, we kinda have to look at what just happened. In September 2022, Ethereum basically hot-swapped its engine mid-flight, making it infinitely more sustainable. Moving to this proof-of-stake model cut the network's energy use by nearly 99.95%. I mean, that is just a staggering number. It's honestly like taking a roaring, gas-guzzling spaceship and completely swapping its engine for a hyper-efficient solar drive, all while you're still zooming through space. Let's compare the old way of doing things to our new reality. Back in the old proof-of-work days, miners burned massive amounts of energy with physical hardware. They had to solve these incredibly complex math puzzles using literal warehouses full of computers just to prove they were committed to the network. It was kind of like burning coal just to prove you were working hard. But now, as proof-of-stake validators, we don't need elite hardware. We simply prove our commitment by putting up our own staked capital and running some software. Moving right along to Section 2. Applying for the job and making your security deposit. So, how do you actually apply for this job without buying all those computers? Well, because we aren't using physical energy to secure the network anymore, we have to use something else to keep people honest, right? Instead of physical equipment, you become a validator by putting down a massive security deposit of 32 ETH to guarantee your honesty. It makes total sense if you think about it like renting an apartment. A landlord takes a deposit so you don't trash the place. Here, the network takes a 32 ETH deposit. If we do our job right, we earn rewards. If we act maliciously, we lose our deposit. It neatly internalizes the cost of security right into the protocol itself. The actual nuts and bolts of joining are pretty straightforward. We just follow these exact steps to join the activation queue. First, we send our 32 ETH to an official smart contract. Then, we wait. The network acts like a really careful HR department here. It intentionally limits the rate of new arrivals, only onboarding a certain number of new validators per day, so the whole system doesn't just get overwhelmed. Once we make it through that queue, boom, we are officially active validators.
Section 3, your software tool belt. Time to get set up.
Let's take a look at the actual tools we're going to be operating day to day. Like I said, we don't need supercomputers, but we do absolutely need to run 3 specific pieces of software simultaneously. Think of the execution client as the network's accountant. It checks all the math, balances the books, and processes the smart contracts. Then you have the consensus client. That's kind of like the floor manager. It coordinates with all the other validators out there to agree on the current state of the network. And finally, the validator client is basically our personal voting paddle. It holds our secure keys and actually casts our votes. Now, a super practical tip for setup. You absolutely must configure a fee recipient address during this process so you actually get paid your transaction tips and your extra rewards. Think of this like setting up your direct deposit on your first day of work. If you skip this step, well, you'll still do the work, but all those extra tips from users sending transactions, they'll just vanish into thin air instead of going into your wallet. So don't forget that. Oh, and to make sure your execution and consensus clients can communicate safely, they use this shared secret code called a JWT secret. Because these 2 pieces of software need to pass highly sensitive information back and forth on your machine, this JWT secret acts like a highly secure walkie-talkie channel. If they don't share the exact same secret code, they literally won't talk to each other, and your node will just appear offline to the rest of the world. All right, Section 4, a day in the life, and your daily duties. Now that we're completely set up, what does the typical day actually look like on the network clock? Well, the blockchain doesn't sleep, right? It operates on this highly precise, totally unchanging rhythm. Your schedule is dictated by a rigid tempo of 12-second slots and 6.4-minute epochs. This keeps the entire global network perfectly synchronized. Think of a slot like a heartbeat. Every 12 seconds, one single validator out of the hundreds of thousands on the network is randomly selected to propose a new block of transactions. 32 of these 12-second slots make up an epoch. And over the course of an epoch, every single active validator will be called upon exactly once to review and attest to the work being done. So, using your secure keys, your primary tasks are to propose blocks when you're the one randomly selected,
and to constantly vote on the validity of your peers' work. Actually, most of your time will be spent voting, which is also known as attesting. You look at the block the current proposer just built, you check it against your own ledger, and if everything is honest and correct, you use your cryptographic keys to sign a digital thumbs up. If you do this reliably day in and day out, your 32 ETH balance slowly ticks up as you earn rewards. But, it's worth asking, what happens if someone actually goes rogue and breaks the rules? What if somebody tries to approve a totally fake transaction, or maybe signs off on 2 different versions of history to try and double spend their money?
Which brings us to Section 5, Rules, Rewards, and Penalties, the actual cost of cheating.
Welcome to the strict HR department of the blockchain. See, the network doesn't have a CEO or a police force to stop bad actors. It just uses pure economics. If you try to defraud the network, you face slashing. And slashing means you literally lose that 32 ETH security deposit you committed when you got the job. This is not just a slap on the wrist. It's not like missing a few dollars of rewards because your internet went down. No, if anyone makes a provable cryptographic attack on the network, the protocol automatically destroys a chunk of their staked capital and forcibly ejects them from the system.
There are 3 major provable offenses you absolutely have to avoid: double proposing, double voting, and surround voting. Committing any of these instantly triggers slashing. Double proposing is basically like trying to clock in at 2 different jobs simultaneously. You're proposing 2 different blocks for the exact same 12-second time slot. Double voting is endorsing 2 competing versions of the blockchain's history. And surround voting is a highly complex attempt to rewrite finalized historical records. The software catches these contradictions instantly, and boom, your deposit is slashed, you are permanently fired from the validator pool.
Finally, Section 6, a sustainable future. Looking at the big picture.
Let's zoom out a bit to really understand why your role as a validator matters so much on a global scale. We've talked a lot about the daily mechanics of the job, but just look at the incredible efficiency we're now a part of. Replacing all those physical mining rigs with staked capital and software makes this network incredibly sustainable. Pre-merge, Proof of Work Ethereum was burning around 21 terawatt hours of electricity annually. And now, Proof of Stake Ethereum uses about 0.0026. It's literally a fraction of a fraction. It uses way less energy than global services like PayPal or Netflix.
I love this quote because it perfectly captures the genius of the entire system. Proof of stake escrows security inside the protocol. We no longer rent our security from the physical world by burning electricity. We secure it right here, internally, with your locked capital. By using economic collateral instead of physical energy, the network defends itself from the inside out. That 32 ETH deposit, that is the shield that protects the global ledger. So I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder as you officially log into your new role today. If a massive global network can be secured purely by software and a security deposit, what other energy-hungry systems could we reinvent next? You and I are now officially part of a decentralized, hyper-efficient machine that coordinates millions of transactions a day across the globe, all without a single drop of wasted energy.